Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another installment of Show to Be with Mike G, the show of life, the show of pre-med at UT, the show of Nanas, the show of San Antonio. That's right. This is the second episode this week at Show to Be, highlighting some of the brilliant masterminds behind the San Antonio cocktail scene. First, Jarrett Pena on Monday, and now what I would, and I hope many of us would consider the queen of the San Antonio cocktail scene, Elisabeth Forsythe. You can see her down there at Barbaro, but she's been at Blue Box, she's been at the Monterey. We talk about a lot of things, and it's especially timely given that the Speed Rack finals were just facilitated in New York days ago. And Elisabeth has a very insightful and a very meaningful relationship with Speed Rack, and she talks about that just a bit. So I hope you guys enjoy this chat with Elisabeth Forsythe.
That at all. I think it's very easy still in most bars in most cities. It's very easy for, a decent looking female to just walk into a sports bar and land a job and be able to, walk out with way more money than what we make doing craft. And that's just mathematics. I mean, if you think how long does it take to open 7 Miller Lights and charge someone for it versus how long does it take to make 7 old fashions? You're still getting $1 tip on each drink.
Yeah, that's true. And you can't shake a Miller Lite. It'll just go everywhere. So you're right. I never even thought about that part of it. Right. That not only are there are more transactions because they're quicker, but you make more money per transaction that you're busting through.
Well, and I mean, really, I love bars like that, and I love times working at that. You really get that opportunity to connect to your regulars. And so I kind of try to bridge the, bring that same kind of hospitality. We might be doing cocktails, but you better look up when people walk to the bar. Get your head out of that drink and look up. It's
it's an interesting blend because it's just as much detail and the logistics as it is the soft skills,
Oh, absolutely.
And I can't speak firsthand except for events I do that are non-licensed events, right? Because if you distill, you can't make drinks in public. But there are some people that are just so good at both. But then there are some people that are just about being in their head. So when you are hiring people, male or female, I shouldn't even have to use that caveat, but you want somebody that's able to do both of those things, think and talk, right?
Yeah, I expect a lot. I mean, Hot Joy's bar program is pretty simple and easy. We just wanted it to kind of be like punchy drinks that go with, all the spicy, salty food.
Right.
And
all that fish sauce.
Yeah, so I mean, I do a lot of, we have a little less prep here, actually a lot less prep here. I like to use things that we can bring in, like, crab fat caramel to bitter our kind of household fashion concept, and purple yam paste
nice.
Instead of the sugar in sort of a daiquiri build.
Yeah. Wow.
Here, so I try to do that as much as possible here. We're about to do a yogurt soju on the menu, so
nice.
Easy stuff. Barbaro, on the other hand, is extremely labor intensive and prep intensive, and also we're open for lunch every day.
Oh, okay.
So the bartenders that work during the day there, they have to prep and work the day shift. And I expect a lot out of them. So really, that's a huge thing that I look for, is someone that just really can commit to that kind of effort. Because some people, they just want to come in and make drinks. And that's fine. You can get a job like that. Mm-hmm. But that's not what we do.
Do they not want to be set to some kind of template and have to follow its order of operations and things? Is that kind of what it is, or?
No, I think it's I think it just can overwhelm people
Yeah.
that don't have a background in. Yeah, I mean, it's making syrups. It's not anything that's that difficult. I think the hardest thing that we probably do there is the ginger beer, but just that's because of the amount of volume that we go through.
Right.
The tonic's pretty difficult. There's a lot. We have all the syrups are house made.
Mm.
We do, I think 22 different syrups on this particular menu. And, that's because we do also like a soda fountain kind of non-alcoholic section on the menu.
Oh, okay.
The impotent potables.
A lot of impotent potables. You guys do a lot of Amaris too there?
I have a teensy weensy back bar at Barbaro.
Oh, okay.
So I fit as many Amari on my shelf as possible because I just love them, and I think it just fits.
With the cuisine, right? Yeah.
We do pizzas and cool small plates and things like that. So, so we do a lot of just prep involved with, just to get through the day to day.
Right.
You really have to be in for that too. It's not just about showing up, making the drinks, and getting to be a bartender. I think as
people
well,
impressed
like
with that term anymore. When someone says, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" I'm a cocktail. I'm a mixologist. Is that like a?
You know what? This is actually funny because, so, I worked at Thundercloud Subs. I swear to God, so many people in this industry have started there. I worked at number 2 on Riverside and Congress in Austin.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, I was going to UT for like a year, and it was hilarious and great, and I loved working there. But we used to joke about the sandwich artist thing,
artist, yeah.
And so it was sort of just like running joke that we made fun of with the, sandwich artist thing. So whenever I became a bartender, a few of us were sitting around joking one day, and I mean, I started bartending when I was like 20, so this had to be like in 2000, 2001.
Oh wow, okay, yeah.
And joking kind of about how people ask like, what else do you do? Like, what's your regular job? Do you go to school?
Right,
assuming that
like somehow it's
like
not
being
enough.
a bartender
Yeah.
is a transitional, like
Exactly.
a transient job, not an actual, skill or it's kind of like a journeyman, kind of a game now. But they have, and so we were joking around one day about, jerks that would ask that kind of a question. And I made a comment. I was like, oh, well, I'm sorry, I'm a mixologist. And so then like years later when, I was just plugging away, picking up work at this bar and that bar. And I heard about the craft cocktail movement and the term mixologist, and I about died. It was it was hilarious because that's actually a thing that we were making fun of, but people are calling themselves that now.
And then there's a show on ABC about it.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of feel like, I don't know. There's not really like a criteria of qualification.
No.
So to try to refer to it as, I guess like if you take into like what would mixology mean? The study of mixing, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So, but that's like, I can't just like read a biology textbook and call myself a biologist.
That's not how it works in any other industry.
And honestly, I kind of bristle at the fact that like it's not good enough to call yourself a bartender.
Yeah.
Like, oh, pardon me, I'm fancy. I'm a mixologist.
I'm not
just a meager bartender. No.
There's nothing meager. Yeah, but you're totally right. Like people, maybe they're just not proud of it.
Well, I feel like it's the best job in the world. You get to make people happy for a living.
Yeah.
And more than that, really, like people go to bars for all different kinds of reasons, and it might just be like a day in their life. Mm-hmm. They're just waiting out traffic, catching happy hour.
You never know why.
They might have just come from like a funeral. They might have just gotten engaged. They might have had a great promotion at work. Yeah. Just gotten divorced.
All of it.
All the things. So, you have an honor and a privilege to be in on these moments in people's lives. And, I think when you can sort of realize sort of where you fit in that picture, that's a beautiful thing. That's, I've been in on some great moments in people's lives. And, they might forget you tomorrow, but they might remember you forever. You might have been really important to that person that you were there in that moment.
It is. It's serendipity just all sprinkled around, because I think that in a sense you guys have the people behind the bar, I would say, you guys have the luxury of being the therapist without revealing too much. Like, you never really have to up the ante emotionally the way that the people across the bar do. Now, if it's
but don't you though?
Well, I think that you should, and there should be empathy and exchange of real honest moments. But I feel like a lot of people, I like the back and forth, but I think a lot of people go to a bar to just get something out there.
Yeah.
Just to vent it, to have this moment of catharsis.
I think so. I think strangers too will tell you things that might sort of, as the bartender they'll tell you, but if you were just like a stranger on the street,
would not tell you, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've definitely cried with strangers across the bar before.
Yeah. And it's interesting because that is completely contradictory to what one might presume a bartender is, or why they might shy away from being proud of that. And think of any other profession, or think of any other situation in which a stranger will tell you everything, and tell you these moments, like you said, they wouldn't even tell their family. It's interesting. It's very, what's the word? Voyeuristic in a sense.
Yeah, I think it's like, if you look through history, like people drinking, it's always been a social thing, and I think that connects people. I think, you have a few drinks, you start feeling a little more sherry, sherry from the sherry, and you open up to people, and you kind of become this like exuberant version of yourself, whether it be exuberantly sad or exuberantly happy.
Right. Some
you
pull,
can use
some
that
pull,
as a
up or down.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that when you kind of take that into account, it's natural that people open up to you with a cup in their hand. And also, I feel like when someone comes up to your bar, they might be a complete stranger, but, aren't you happy to see them? You welcome them like you would welcome them to your home.
Absolutely.
Please sit. You want to, and this is another thing we spoke about, like things you look for. Hospitality is hugely key to me. And I think that's one of those things that's very hard to teach. And I get it from my mom. Like, she's the type that will, like, slave herself
for a true
to
mother,
put together like
right?
the Thanksgiving meal for everyone, and and she is just like this like natural gracious host. But she came up in restaurant management.
Did she?
She came up in the biz as well.
Well, so you mentioned a little bit about Austin. You obviously mentioned stuff about San Antonio. Let's take a step back, and where did you grow up? Are you from Texas originally?
I'm originally actually from Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh, okay.
My family's I still have family out there. And I love that town. I love to go visit. They have such a great little well, I say little. It's not so little.
Pretty big, right?
They've got a great cocktail scene. I went there, probably one of the favorite bars I've ever visited in my travels, over the last few years in this industry, and especially after getting involved with Speed Rack.
Right.
I think, one of my top 3 bars I've ever been to, and of course there's so many I haven't been to, so qualify that, but is Manifesto in Kansas City. They had, when I went, I enjoyed several cocktails, and it was just well done, beautifully done.
Yeah.
Balanced, not overdone, that was with restraint, and I thought it was really lovely. It had a great vibe. It had this speakeasy thing, which I kind of roll my eyes at these days because it's like, come on, guys, drinking's legal. But they pulled it off really well. I didn't feel like knocking on a trash can and ordering a Negroni outside, as as it were. It was, I got instructions how to get in. They did it really well. I felt like they made it seem, hidden, but not exclusive.
Yeah.
Which was awesome.
That's really, really
You just kind of go in through the back kitchen door. I think there's also another, because they're in, I believe the Rieger is what the hotel is called. Mm-hmm. But that you can go in through the hotel also, I think. But, of course, I went through the alleyway. I had to see what that was about.
Yeah. Which I think is always good. You get the smells that start to waft, and you kind of like, what am I getting
no, like
into?
really, literally, like one of the guys from the kitchen comes and like you buzz, and they like come to the kitchen door and let you in.
Like the back,
Yeah,
in Goodfellas. How
Oh, yeah.
how he comes in through the back, like, hey, Henry, and he goes and does that whole tour.
Yeah, so and it's they I think they do it really well. But I actually can't wait to go during their cocktail week.
Oh, they have a cocktail week too?
Yeah, Paris on the Plains.
No shit.
Yeah, they
when is
do
that
one.
normally? What time of year?
Oh, I don't even know.
Yeah, I'm curious.
I've been wanting to go for the past couple years now, and just have never been able to make it work.
Yeah.
But,
so you grew up there. How are the from everything I've only drove through Kansas City. Is Kansas City specific or St. Louis?
Kansas City.
Kansas City, right.
I was in Kansas City in Missouri, where I live. It's it's like a Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri. They're like,
God, it's so hard.
Just separated by state line essentially. So, but if you're from the Missouri side, you're definitely like, I'm from the Missouri side.
It's like if you're from Austin and it's like, oh, so you go to Dallas a lot? Like, no, from
No.
Austin. God,
Yeah.
Yeah. How is
San
it
Antonio.
growing up?
I lived there when I was small, and I have so many awesome memories. Of course, they get the 4 seasons. You get the summertime. You get, the snow in the winter. And, I have a lot of great memories as a child. But I've lived in San Antonio really most of my life. I've been bartending 16 years now, and this town has been my home for that
16, wow.
The last 16 years, yeah.
So when did you move out of Kansas City then?
Oh, when I was a child.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a small child. We moved to Texas. I was right around 5 years old.
Was it for work,
which
change
seems
of scenery,
like,
or?
To say you're from a place when you live there so young. But I have memories till, from when I was 2 on. And
oh, really?
like of, the snow in the winter. And,
yeah, there's people may scoff at it, but there's shit you remember. You can
absolutely.
go way back and,
Absolutely. And the family, I'm blessed with a beautiful family. So.
Yeah. Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I do. I'm the middle of 3 girls, and then I
geez.
also have 5 stepsisters.
Wow.
Yes.
So 3 girls and 5 stepsisters.
Yeah, so
8
my
girls
stepdad
total.
raised 8 daughters.
Good God, the poor
No
guy.
sons. Yeah, I know.
That's insane.
Crazy. He, God bless him. He's great.
So when
He's
you
a jolly soul.
what it brought you to San Antonio then? Was it work? Did your parents move? I mean,
you know what? We moved. My mom opened a bakery franchise in Corpus Christi.
oh wow.
Where her sister lived.
Mm-hmm.
And so we moved there, and she met my dad, and they got married. The bakery was, in like a shopping mall. So
Yeah.
the shopping mall went under construction. They closed that wing. So they closed the bakery. And so at that point, my mom moved to San Antonio with my stepdad, my dad.
Yeah.
And started their life here. He was working here already. And,
Yeah.
would
Well,
come
how
back
did they?
and
Well,
forth.
so how did they meet in Corpus then?
So this is cute, right? His daughter worked for my mom at the bakery.
No kidding.
And she kind of set them up behind my mom's back. She's like, you have to come meet this lady. So my mom is a winker, and anyone who knows me knows it's like a habit I can't control.
Winker?
I'm a winker also.
Tell me what that means.
Like you wink at people.
Uh-huh.
Like it's part of your repartee.
But is it to say like
It's not necessarily flirtatious.
It's just like
it's
a what's
not.
up?
It's
Hey.
just like you're playing with someone. You
Yeah.
wink at them. You like make a joke, and
Wow, yeah.
And I don't even realize I'm doing it until someone will comment on it.
Did you just wink at me?
But no, exactly. But I get it from my mom. She's a notorious winker. So she evidently, when they met, he came in and ordered something, or I don't know. He came in and did something, and supposedly she winked at him. According to him, well, if you ask my mom, she's like, I did not wink at him.
But if it's so involuntary, who knows?
I'm sure she did.
Yeah.
She winks at everything. But yeah, then
They started
he
dating.
sent her flowers. It was all romantic.
Man.
They dated for 2 weeks before, and then they got married.
That's amazing.
And they've been married for like 1 million years now.
That's brilliant because you don't.
It's beautiful, right?
I haven't personally lost hope, but things around us will just kind of influence and make us think that either love is dead or chivalry is dead.
Tell me about
it.
You know, My mom, though, she has the patience of a saint. So.
Yeah. Well, 8 girls, so yeah, that's a lot. That's a whole lot.
You know what? They're older though.
Are they?
My stepsisters are all these like extremely tall, like Amazonian,
really?
gorgeous women. Yeah, and they're a little older than us, so they were already grown when my parents got married. So,
yeah,
were
they out of the house already?
My mom wasn't really involved in raising them. Of course, she loves them and everything like that. But but she didn't get we didn't have like the Brady Bunch House of 8 or anything like that.
There's no Greg and there's no Peter.
No,
it's just a bunch of
Marsha. Bunch of Marshas.
Did you growing up with all? I mean, because you said were they probably like in their late teens at that point then when you?
Oh yeah, they were late teens and early 20s.
So
they
already
were going
like kind of read.
Yeah, they were out of the house by then, and they would come and stay for a couple weeks here and there, visit and whatnot. But yeah, they were already grown on their own, making their own lives, and so that it was always cool. But my stepdad's really tall. He's and my mom's like my size, like almost 5'5".
Oh wow!
And he has got those out of his 5 daughters from a previous marriage. I think 3 of them are 6-footers.
Jeez,
I mean they are tall,
that's crazy.
Like beautiful women. And then the other 2 are like 5'9", 5'10". I mean, they're also tall as well. Yeah. They're like the short ones comparatively, but they're like heads taller than me.
How old were you then when you ended up moving to San Antonio? Did you say 5?
I moved here. I was in first grade.
First grade, okay.
It was 5 or 6. 6. I started school late.
Yeah. Why is that? Were you
I have an October birthday.
Oh yeah.
So I was always like the oldest kid in my grade.
It's not so bad. It's not so bad. Did you graduate? No, we'll get to that. But I was thinking, like, I knew some people that graduated when they're 16.
Yeah, I went to university when I was 16.
Holy shit! Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's so. All right, we gotta get to that.
I was out of there.
That's.
I'm just kidding. When someone's like, "Hey,
you
want to go to college early?" It's and not live in your parents' house when you're 16.
That would be
good. I mean, but what do you think?
It's a lot of responsibility to have. I know.
At 16. I probably was motivated for all the wrong reasons.
I just want to eat what I want to eat.
I never graduated college, but
no, but that's kind of like the story for a lot of people. But how is so San Antonio? You're seeing it in a whole different light than what I've seen it as kind of a recent visitor.
Oh yeah, no, I grew up in it. Absolutely.
Was it anywhere near the same city back then?
I mean, San Antonio is like so richly cultural.
Yeah.
Richly cultured, I guess I should say. It has an amazing like music culture, especially like through history. It's got like a great like blues history. It's got tons of art. It's one of the most historic cities in the country.
Yeah,
the art scene's really big here, and that's kind of always been that way. As an adult, noticing things like that. Right. As a kid growing up, you ride your bike to the baseball field. You go to the Circle K and buy all the Jolly Ranchers you can get with your allowance money, and like
nerds
that.
For me,
that's for me it was Jolly Ranchers and Reese's peanut butter cups.
Do you have a particular Jolly Rancher favorite?
People
are
absolutely.
Lying. Are you a green apple person or
no? Ew. Sure. The only Jolly Rancher that's worth eating. Okay, wait. I will give you my 3 Jolly Ranchers worth eating.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe 2. Okay, no, 3. The sour cherry is hands down the best
your
flavor,
favorite one?
And
okay.
anyone that says different is just wrong.
It's like being from the Confederacy. That's how strongly aligned
that line is drawn.
Yeah,
in the sand, like the line at the
cherry.
Alamo.
All right, cherry's great.
Okay. All right. Okay. The fruit punch is pretty decent.
I like the fruit punch. Yeah,
fruit punch is pretty decent.
It's a good one.
Yeah. I think that's about it.
So the rest of them is just kind
of whatever. If you hand me a grape Jolly Rancher, I'm gonna throw it on the ground. Forget it.
It's so strange.
I know. This is why, right? Because you can't just make something purple and call it grape flavored.
This is true.
It doesn't taste like grape at all.
Well, no, grapes have a good flavor. None of the purple grape stuff really tastes like grape at all. Anything like grape Kool-Aid or like Trix with the purple ones, it just doesn't really taste like grape.
It just tastes purple.
But until I knew better, that was grape.
Yeah, well,
grape
Kool-Aid, grape. Yeah, when I did I don't even know why it is, but if it's something that's like artificially flavored like that, generally the red flavors. I'm that's the most common thing. Yeah. I don't think that I think that's the majority of people. It's like they want the red flavor of candy or Kool-Aid or whatever.
That's why there's a Big Red, right? Because it just tastes like red. Whatever
Big
that
Red
red
tastes
is.
like bubble gum to me.
I think so too, like strawberry
I think
bubble
really
gum
like
with cream.
bubble gummy cream soda kind of flavor.
But that's an ongoing debate. I'm not sure our generation will even be able to settle that about.
Oh,
Big
no
Red.
way. No way.
I did that.
I am in a rare minority in San Antonio. I am not a Big Red drinker.
No.
No.
What do you drink? Or what did you drink?
If I have, I mean, soda for sure, Coca-Cola Classic.
Oh, yeah.
Only the best way to drink a Coca-Cola Classic. Out of an ice-cold can.
A can?
Can. And that first sip. You always got to
Changes your
get that
life.
first sip that, like, burns, you
Yeah.
know? It gets you right up the nose. Yeah.
See, it makes me think of whiskey. But we weren't ready for it when we were kids, but we got prepared.
Yeah.
The effervescence, right, of the...
We still drank the burning drinks.
Yes, we did.
Speaking of.
Yeah, as you pull up the Raicilla. Which actually, let's take a moment to chat about this Raicilla real quick. I always ask everybody because I want to bring a bottle, and they ask, is it bourbon or agave? Because I've got those two things. Got some rums and stuff like that. And so you're an agave person. And this is an exceptional, like, almost case study in distillation.
Hey, don't pigeonhole me.
No, I'm
in everything.
No, I'm totally sure.
No, just kidding.
But just for the scope of this
No,
chat,
I
you're
got
like,
you, yeah.
Yeah, let's do agave. It's like, all
I
right,
do love
great.
agave.
But this is one I had at the Walk to Mexico event at the Monterey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that John put on. I had never had a Raicilla before. Actually, no, I had, but there's a black one that La Venenosa puts out. But this is the Sierra del Tigre, and it is made in Jalisco, and it is 46% ABV, which is insane because this is a single distillation.
Yeah.
And like wood clay combined.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the funkiest fucking thing I've had, like
It's
agave wise.
delicious.
It's good, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like punchy and bright and acidic, but then cheesy.
It's got a creaminess to it. It's
Yeah.
soft. It's not. You almost would expect it to have more heat.
Mm-hmm. On its own, it's
Green.
There is. I don't think there's anything else that tastes like this. I mean, there are elements that there's stuff, but like that punchy bit of
It's like
acidity.
the clay at the end, like on like the lingering.
Yeah,
That's good.
it's a thinking sip
That's
for
really
sure.
delicious.
I'm glad we could share this one
Yeah,
because this
thank
is
you
one
so
I'd
much for
love to share
sharing.
because this is again like just a case study in distillation, like a single distillation to make it taste like that. Normally you're going through two, and I was like, how did they even go from what is 3 to 6% in their ferment to 46%? He's like, it's the way that the vapor will recondense in much large surface area in that particular still. But I'd love to go see it. And that was something that Chris Maxwell from Fortaleza brought, and it's really, really good, imported in through New York. But going back to things that pique our interest and tingle our palates. So you finished high school early. So what kind of trouble were you getting into in high school?
You know what? I just was a super nerd.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. I feel like
What would a
I feel
Friday
like school was very easy for me
Right.
before I got to the age where you had to study for school.
Yeah.
So I came up with this sort of idea of myself as being a super smart person, and I was on this path.
What was that
Everyone was
path?
impressed with how smart I was when I was a child, and gifted and talented, and all A's all the time. I didn't get my first B until 6th grade, and it was devastating. But that was the year and it was in math, which I love math.
Yeah.
Love math. So it was sort of the year that changed, you have to, that's at the age, you have to like begin to study and do homework and things like that. And man, I was, I was not good at that. I feel like I peaked too early because I'm lazy.
Do you think that the expectations too were set really high and you're like, oh man, all these eyes are on me because I'm the smart kid?
It just never took effort before.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really take into account, what that would mean for being in college. I was just like on a path, and, I wanted to be on my own and, all this and that. And I feel like I really like squandered the educational opportunity that was there because I went to class. I did, and I mean, I didn't like get kicked out or anything like that.
Right.
I just had a 2.7 GPA and, the lecture every semester.
Oh man,
we know you can do better.
So in the 2.7, is this in high school or when you went?
That was in college. No, in high school I did all right. I mean, I was able to like do enough to squeak by, and I mean,
so the thing I think is a good litmus for or a good indicator for what your social life was like. What is that thing you would do on a Friday night?
Oh wow. You know what? So I went to high school in Pleasanton.
I don't know where that is.
Which is like 40 miles south of here, and it's like a country town, like a rural town. That's like where they're having like all the oil boom right now, the Eagle Ford and the shale drilling and all that.
Yeah.
So now the town's like kind of overrun, but it's it's a little town, 9,000 people. And everybody knew everybody, and all the families, and we were kind of newcomers to the town, and my parents were teachers in the junior high school.
Oh man, did you ever have one of your parents as a teacher?
No, they were actually wonderful special education teachers.
Oh, okay.
And the only time that I would ever be in my parents' classroom during school was if I got in trouble for something. So they would just march me right to my parents' room rather than the principal's office.
That was even worse, right?
That was great.
Just to take the difficult layer out of it. Principal knows, just send them straight to the.
So I mean, I don't know. I sort of was on a path. My older sister is like a genius, like a brilliant genius. Mm-hmm. And
what industry is she in?
She is in architecture.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, she's actually, she's great, and she has twin girls now. And,
okay.
So she's doing a lot of work out of the home and whatnot. But she, she went to the University of North Texas in one of their early admittance programs, and I kind of just had planned
to go
from
to UNT.
From like a young age on to also do that, and I just kind of
in architecture as well.
No, I was a biology major. I was pre-med all the way. I was going to be a plastic surgeon.
Really? Any particular part of the body that you wanted to plasticize?
I wanted to do like corrective stuff. Like the idea of like sewing someone's finger back onto me is like the coolest thing. Like it's off and then it's back on.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's like legit Frankenstein stuff.
Yeah.
I love that idea. Cleft palates, things like that. Mm-hmm. I really wanted to do more like burn victims, things like that, corrective surgeries rather than cosmetic stuff. Because I think I love art. I love to do like portraiture and things like that.
Oh, really?
And,
what medium do you enjoy?
I really, and this is anyone who's like a real like serious artist, because I only dabble. Mm-hmm. Will recognize this as being the easy answer. But I like to do soft pastels, like the chalky ones.
Yeah.
Because they're so correctable and so blendable. I've never really been a good painter at all. So
but pastel is something like that texture allows you.
Yeah, but the texture of it for me, I just love it, and the colors are so lovely and blendable, and so I really like to work with pastels. But it was just a way for me to sort of the love that I had for like the linear aspects of doing portraiture, into like sort of the science.
That's a
world
really
that I like really love.
It's like I'm drawing the face. Maybe I'm drawing it to scale. Maybe I'm not drawing it to scale. And now the next step is to physically understand how it is and like take it apart and sew it.
And it's really cool. Like you think of like drawing someone's face. It's like, well, I can't draw noses or whatever. And, it's really just like, it's like the Golden Triangle, movie. It's like break it down into looking at like lines and angles.
Yeah.
And I had an art teacher when I was very young, like 7th grade, and I was just first learning how to draw. Mm-hmm. And she said something like really profound that really, and this is why I think people can be trained to draw. It's not like a talent you have or don't have.
Really? Okay.
She said, draw what you see. Don't draw what you think it's supposed to look like. Just draw what you see.
That's brilliant, yeah.
And all of a sudden, it was like when you stare at one of those like hologram pictures, and then all the schooner like starts coming your way.
The schooner?
It's
Why
like,
can't I see the schooner?
Yeah, right? And so it was like that. Then it was like, okay, like, that the nose is this angle, this line, this curve, and all of a sudden it wasn't a nose. It was just a bunch of geometry on someone's face.
Amazing,
so,
yeah. So I could see how you could parlay that into the medical aspect of it, right? Like a cut here in a particular way, and then reassembling things in a particular way.
So no, I studied biology. I ended up going to Lamar University in Beaumont for a similar like equivalent program, but I was just a nerd in high school. Like I went to algebra camp.
Algebra camp?
Go ahead and laugh.
How?
Everyone does.
What? No. All right. So
it's
what do you do in algebra
where during
camp?
the summer you like go live in a dorm for 2 weeks and learn algebra.
Well, like what do you do for fun at algebra camp?
I mean,
math problems. What do you? Okay,
math
what do you do
fun.
when all the fun puzzles are done? You guys at least tell like camp stories and stuff.
We did. I think we went to an amusement park.
Yeah.
Which one is Astroworld? Which one's in
Houston,
Dallas or Arlington?
Oh, I don't know. Oh,
Six Flags.
Six Flags. Yeah.
We went to Six Flags. I think
that's good. That's something.
We got to. I don't know. It was like a 2-week slumber party with a bunch of other nerds. Like
that's not so bad.
It wasn't terrible.
I was a nerd. I'm not fooling anybody, and I never have. But wasn't math though. It's always being a loner.
Yeah. I was definitely a loner.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm a big mama's girl too, so I got homesick.
Did you really?
Yeah, for sure.
For the algebra camp.
During algebra camp, yeah.
Algebra camp.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to remember that algebra camp. That's the first time I've heard that one.
I know.
It's better than geometry camp though.
It's better than band camp.
Probably. But I hear some crazy shit goes down at band camp. Some movie about it.
I don't think I know anyone who actually went to band camp.
I don't either.
It's better. I think I'd just rather be called algebra than band camp. When I first started bartending was when American Pie was like had
booming.
been out for like a little while, and I had certain industry friends nickname me band camp, and now
trying to live that down.
It's like this like visceral reaction anytime I hear the term band camp.
Oh
like,
man, that's horrible.
Hairs bristle.
Yeah. Just grimacing, huh? Well, so you end up going to Beaumont, you said, for a little bit, and then eventually going to
Lamar.
Was UT the last stop in Austin?
Yeah, UT. I lived in Austin for a year.
Were you living in the dorms there?
No, I was already, because I already was like halfway. I had already had like
enough credits.
Over 60 hours, yeah. So I was already halfway done. And so I had an apartment, my first apartment. I worked at my first food service industry job to save money for my first apartment. No, this was when I lived in Beaumont. I was a car hop.
At Sonic?
Sonic.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Amazing. That's a lot of good people come from car hopping at Sonic.
It was awesome. And, it was decent money. I mean, I think minimum wage back then was like $5 an hour, $5.25 or something like that. You know? And, I generally end up with tips and everything averaging around $10 an hour, which is not bad for like a 17-year-old kid, So at that time anyway.
Were you 18 then when you came into Austin? Or were you 17?
Yeah, I was 18 then.
Saved up some money, get your own apartment.
Yeah, I got my first apartment. Austin was like home immediately. Yeah. I fell in love with it, and it was so rad. And like the streets were paved in granola, and there's a guy riding a unicycle
without any pants on.
Yeah,
that is not an exaggeration.
No,
I don't know how he does it. It seems like
I feel like that would really like chafe after a while.
Yeah, you've seen the guy though, right? That just wears a Speedo.
That's it. Yeah.
And his balls never hang out. I am so impressed with that.
I mean, impressed or not impressed, it just depends on how you look at it. If you're
it's
size queen.
True enough.
So, but yeah, I mean, I really fell in love with Austin, and I kind of just had this epiphany, that I was spinning my wheels in college, racking up student loan debt for sort of not enough dedication to the direction I was going and the work that it was going to take.
Yeah.
So I took a break from school, and that's when I started bartending, and I just never went back.
Bartending in Austin?
No, actually, I moved to Houston for like a few months because I had a summer job lined up as like a mentor at one of these like gifted programs.
Oh, cool.
That they have for like inner city youth during the summertime at U of H. Mm-hmm. So I did that for a few months, and then when I left there, I came down. My grandmother, my Nana, she had broken her ankle, bless her heart, and she needed a lot of help.
Yeah.
So she was staying with my folks while she was healing, and I moved back in with them for a few months Yeah, help her.
That's great of you to do that.
Well, hey, you know what? That's my Nana.
Yeah.
She lived to be 98 years old, and she was
that's amazing.
the best person I ever knew.
Yeah. Is your mom's mom or your dad's mom?
My mom's mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's piss and vinegar, as they say.
She was like the sweetest human being. As far as like, if she had any judgment, she would keep them to herself. Like she would not. She was super Christian, but in like all the most beautiful ways you can think. And she just was lovely, but hilarious. And the most amazing fried chicken you've ever had.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
And she would do this thing. We're card players in my family. We love to play cards. So at holidays, we always play this this game called Liverpool Rummy.
Liverpool Rummy.
And so each hand, it's like a specific rummy hand that you have to lay down.
Okay.
And when you can put that hand together, then obviously
you win.
You win the round, and then you rack up all the points at the end after, I think it's like 9 rounds or something.
Right.
And she always would do this thing, and it got to be a pattern where you could recognize it. And once I got wise to it, I would always know. But when she starts acting confused...
She's playing you?
Yes. Yeah. She would do that to a T. Now, what round are we on again? And once she asked it like 2 or 3 times, you knew she was about to lay down and win the round.
No.
Yeah, no.
The red herring, you're looking over here.
She had it, yeah. Which hand are we on again? Oh, good. And then lay the right cards down.
So
Nana.
Exactly. My mom, I think this was last Christmas. We're playing Uno with my parents, my fiance, my parents. Mm-hmm. And... we're just playing. It's like my mom's doing really well. Like shit, I didn't know she's so good at Uno. We played in some campgrounds in the '90s, but not enough to constitute being an expert Uno player. And I keep doing. The light's kind of low, and I for some reason I have some problem differentiating colors sometimes. Mm-hmm. And so it turns out like we started watching what she was doing, and she was putting any color down. And we didn't notice.
She was playing you.
She was playing all of us. She just would put whatever. Like, wait a minute, that's not the same colors. Like, oh, I can't do that. Like, she knew. So there's something that comes with maturity and wisdom that allows you to parlay that into cheating at card
There
games.
was no. I don't think we ever got through a game without just hilariously.
Yeah.
Laughing. My mom would always be in tears by the end of it, just laughing, like where you can't breathe laughing.
I love that.
Yeah, my Nana was great. She was the sweetest, most like genteel, like lovely lady.
Yeah.
And if she, never said a bad word about anybody, and very like just loving and wonderful, and she has this beautiful story and all this and that, and she but she, she stubbed her toe. She'd let out a curse word every now and again, and her curses were always hilarious.
Were they like just like no one would hear them?
I guess they're just old timey or something. Right. But they would be like phrases.
Oh, I see.
It wouldn't just be like, ow, I stubbed my toe and like let out a curse word. It would be like this like phrase.
Is that from Hamlet? What does she say?
But yeah, she.
But you came back to help, which is obviously,
so
you guys are really close.
Helped her, and that was a great, in a lot of ways, that was a really great time for me. I got to like, be with my Nana and like spend some really good quality time with her. And
that's so great.
I think, as our elderly family members age, it's sort of. It's a difficult transition, for them and for you. They need your help, and they don't want to need your help. And,
absolutely.
I think it was like we had a really beautiful connection, during those months. And I feel as much as I, hated working at Blockbuster Video, and as much as it was really a beautiful time in my life looking back.
That's amazing. No, the Blockbuster Video / Hollywood Video days. Those are very formative for a lot of people.
I actually miss Blockbuster Video.
I do too. I miss
videos
in general.
Perusing, and Netflix is sort of, I do Netflix now, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. It's easy. It's cheaper.
It is.
It's good in so many ways, but
paralysis by analysis, right?
Yes.
Because if you only have 10 options, you're going to pick one of the 10. But if you have 10,000 options, I'm just
Well, and I also feel like Netflix is. There's a lot of cool stuff you can't watch on Netflix, of course, and
Mm.
whatever. You can't have everything you ever wanted all the time. But I mean,
God forbid.
I
right?
feel like at Blockbuster Video, it was like a ritual of mine. I could just like, not when I worked there. When I worked there, I didn't want
Be there when you.
I got so many free movies a week. I ran out of movies to watch.
Yeah.
But that was the perk. It's like we'll pay you like crap, but
It's a bunch
you
of
get
rentals,
all the free movies.
which is where the money's going anyway. Usually,
yeah,
for
I mean,
me.
when you're like a 18-year-old, 17-year-old kid.
Was there anything that you particularly like? Any movie that changed? Because I love film and I like talking about that music a lot. But was there any movies that you got at that point where you're like, holy shit, I never realized there could be something that was like this?
I mean, like, it wasn't like anything profound, like
No.
Roots or something like that. But it was like,
Roots, the milestone of filmmaking.
But when I worked at Blockbuster Video, the movies that were coming out, the new releases that were coming out. Oh, actually, this is funny. This is a funny reference. They only had one shelf of DVDs.
Oh, really?
DVDs were brand new.
Man.
It was all VHS tapes.
That's still a good time.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, that was when like movies were coming out, like Boondock Saints.
Mhm.
That was a good one, and
Roots.
Stir of Echoes.
Stir
and,
of
it was
Echoes,
like
Kevin
that.
Bacon,
It was it was in that like
Oh, man,
that time of movies. So there wasn't really anything like
Yeah, I don't think there was
amazing
anything
or
that like
profound.
really.
But I mean,
profound.
a lot of great filler movies, and we would get to take out movies before they were released on DVD.
Oh, nice. So whenever you guys just actually got them.
So like I think you release them on Tuesday is when all the new releases come out, if I'm not mistaken. But they come in on Thursday or Friday usually, and so then like
you guys have a good
process
week
them
into it.
and do
Yeah.
all that, and you can take the movie out and watch it before. The rules are you can take the movie out before it's released over that weekend, but you cannot take it out once it's released in the first month that it's released.
Oh, gotcha. So you got to get
you
to it
can't
before.
like zip up the snatch up all the new releases.
I think a lot of people undervalue the importance of it getting a new release movie at that point. That's like grade AA stuff on Friday
it was
night.
a big
You can
deal.
find a
The
new
fact that like I was the first Boondock Saints fan among like all my friends.
Yeah.
Of course.
Like,
that
how'd you
was,
know
like,
about
a
that?
huge deal.
Yeah. Huge deal.
No.
So you
I'm
kind
kidding.
of you're reestablishing yourself in San Antonio, working at Blockbuster, which is an amazing thing.
Actually, I
always.
worked at Blockbuster in Pleasanton. It was like a little
Oh,
small
really?
town Blockbuster, which was
Even better,
hilarious.
right?
Hilarious.
Pleasanton. That's right.
Yeah.
I just kind of lump it up. You said it's 40 miles south of San Antonio official, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's very close. And,
Yeah.
and but it's it's rural. I guess on a Friday night, you asked me earlier, what would you do on a Friday night? I guess a Friday night. I mean, for me, I was a big nerd, so I was probably watching a movie with my nerd boyfriend. But my friends were probably at like a pasture party.
Yeah.
May or may not be a bonfire, depending if it was cold or not.
Bonfire.
There would
lots of beer.
definitely be like really bad beer,
Keystone,
and it would
probably.
be like whatever beer could be piecemealed together by a bunch of kids that didn't have any money,
Yeah.
and one like former high school student that was still hanging around that was old enough to buy beer.
Makes them feel better, I think.
And hey, most popular guy at the party though.
true.
And everybody with their like Boone's Farm and Natty Light, and
It's good times. You miss those easier days, those simpler times where you didn't have to shake Boone's Farm as a cocktail in a bottle.
You know what? No, I mean, I guess like we miss parts about every past like life
Right.
sort of phase, I guess. So I can't say I don't miss any of it for sure. I mean, but I mean, when you're living it out, nothing seems simple. You look back on it, it was simple, but nothing seemed simple.
Mm-hmm.
I feel, and it's so crazy because I have more kind of cares now than I ever have, like more responsibilities now than I ever had. Like, I work more hours and harder than I ever have in my life. But I feel like things are a lot simpler now, and it's a perspective thing.
Yeah, it is.
The weight
Well,
of
if you're
the world.
able to take on more, it does seem simple.
Well, I just think like you go through enough things in life, and you don't feel the weight of things in the same way. It's framed in a kind of bigger way, and so I think things that really would have like, I guess been very difficult for me 10 years ago. Now it's like,
Well, it's funny once
already
you
been
go
through
through
that.
something, right? Like once you run that 6-minute mile, it's not hard anymore.
Well, and I think like too, there's sort of this like point when we go through hard stuff or we're pressed, you know, that like super thin and you know, you just, you know, whenever you go through those difficult times like that, it's, you always sort of like question like, can I survive this? You know, is this, you know, is
am I even
going to break me? Like,
through?
am I going to go crazy? Am I going to, you know, and you have this anxiety that surrounds it. But I think the more like you get through it and you're like, oh, okay, like I did it and I'm not crazy and
again,
I did it.
Like, been there.
And, you know, so I think it just, you know, with experience, you know, frames your reality and things that, you know, really would have broken me at certain points in my life, I think. And I say they would have, but they wouldn't have because they didn't when they did happen, you know. I think like we all have the capacity to have resiliency, I guess.
I think so too. Scar tissue, right?
Yeah,
heartbreak.
Right?
I'm not getting heartbroken again.
Well, and I mean, yeah, you will, but
of course,
you know, but you know you're not gonna die.
Yeah.
And you know that like, well, it's like when you lose someone, you know, when someone that you love passes away, it's devastating. It's terrible, and you think, how can I survive feeling this way? You know, every day.
Yeah.
And then it just gets easier, and just like anything in life, you know, you know that, you know, once you've gone through it once, like you can see past it, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not a brick wall anymore.
Yeah, like it's not unknown.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing.
Not frightening.
A lot of people don't realize that. Like, it's such a brilliant way to think of it, is that stuff that wasn't simple is now simple. Because when your palette of experiences is so much smaller, it's like something new is like, oh shit, I'm stifled. I don't know how to react to this. It's overwhelming. But those things always dissipate as you get smarter and older.
Well, and I mean, I think looking back, and I remember of a lot of different times in my life when just something was like just unjust, and for me that's like a very that's a very sort of kind of basic emotion that I experience. Like it's like really, I don't know, it's because I'm a Libra or whatever, if you believe in any of that bullshit. But
sure,
you know, it's really like ever since I was young, and you know, of course, you always grow up like life isn't fair, you know, like you know, it's not fair,
unjust,
and your parent tells you life isn't fair. But like I always get a very sort of like gut reaction, a really visceral reaction to things like that, and in times in my life that I was just so upset because something was unjustly done to me or held away from me or whatever. Looking back, it's sort of, you know, I guess framed in an after the fact way, and it's just good that everything turned out the way that it did.
Yeah, and it always does. It always turned out some way.
And I think like when you can, I don't know, everything doesn't feel dire and so important when, you know, when you bounce back enough times, I guess.
Absolutely. I mean, I was whining about real dumb shit in my early 20s. It's like, oh, this girl doesn't love me back, or she broke up with me. Like, you know what? Now it's like I'm 35 now, and it's like I don't know how we're gonna do payroll this month, right? Like that's an actual, that's a real problem to have instead of having to worry about all these things you do when you're in your early 20s or late teens and things. It's like, what am I gonna be able to find a copy of Boondock Saints on Friday? Like not really big fucking problems at all, you know.
When also too, like when you have employees, it's a lot. Like you put yourself to the point where like what are you willing to sacrifice for your team?
Right.
You know, are you willing to work that shift without tips because it was slow and no one made any money?
Yeah.
That also means you didn't make money.
That's
you know?
right.
Are you willing to, you know, work that double because someone's sick and they need to rest instead of come to work? You know, because you can't just tell people to do things. You can't and expect them to be.
It's just an example, right?
Yeah. And I think, you know, you also owe the consideration of what kind of money they're making. And you know, now what really like will overwhelm me is the feeling of owing people my time and efforts.
I see. Okay.
It can be overwhelming to feel that I can't like keep them happy or make them happy.
Like that, is neglect the right word? Or maybe you just don't have the time to give them.
It's not neglect. It's just really like you can't really accommodate everybody all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a hard thing as a boss, because you really do care about your bar family. You really want them all to be fully fulfilled, and you want them to be able to, you know, go to tails, and you want them to be able, you know, things like that. And so, you know, it's like, you know, you bend over backwards, or you work that 100-hour week or whatever, so that, that you can give these people, you know, the vacation they need, or, you know, the opportunity to go take their bar smarts, or, you know, whatever. It's but you always also have to tell people no, and that can be difficult. I think that what I mean to say, you know, from that long rambling explanation is really like, when you're young, your scope of reference is what's happening to you.
Yeah.
And now, as I'm older and I've got my teams that I have to worry about, my scope of reference is really more about the business and them, you know?
Yeah.
Not that I mean, I'm trying to, like, get back to that place of balance in my life where, you know, it's like, okay, I can do yoga in the morning and actually eat today, or whatever.
But that's, you know, I almost feel like that's the definition of adulthood, is that you stop caring as much about yourself as you do other people.
And then really, yeah, you kind of, you know, they rely on you, they look to you, and you know, it's, you know, so many people that you don't want to let down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Not just yourself. So I think it's really easy to look back at like what was so important to us in our early 20s, like this person slighted me, or this wasn't fair, or this or that. And looking back, that all just seems much easier.
Sure.
And I feel like I wouldn't care as much now, you know?
Yeah, you do. You just let stuff go, because you can't prioritize everything the same way anymore, you know?
But I feel like, though, if something like that happened to, you know, one of my
children,
crewmates,
more or less,
you know, one of my crew, that I would react, I would, you know, have that same reaction. Yeah.
That's so strange. It's so cool, because that is how it transitions. That is how it enlarges, and you become compassionate towards people. Yeah. So when did you make that shift to hospitality full time?
You know what? I started bartending when I was 20, and I've been doing it full time since then. I was just tired of making minimum wage at Blockbuster Video. And I didn't know what I was going to do before I went back to school, you know. I almost joined the Army.
No kidding.
Yeah.
But you went back to school? So you...
Well, I always planned to, and I just never did.
Right.
Yeah. I fell in love with what I was doing. Yeah. And I think because I was really interested in like linguistics and going into that, but I also didn't want to be in the military for an entire career, and I was just trying to get my college paid for.
Right. All the wrong, it's like gold digging in a sense.
And so I didn't follow through, but, you know, it was definitely, you know, you get approached by a recruiter, they zip you in, you take your ASVAB. I got like a 99 on my ASVAB, so it was, you know, one of those things where it's like, oh, you're going to come in with rank because you have college, you got pay, like this and that. So they definitely made it look really attractive. But when it came down to it, it just wasn't.
For some reason, even to me, like, as someone that's just kind of getting to know you, it seems
yeah,
like an interesting play, but not really congruent with what I'm sensing.
No, it wasn't. I was feeling like lost and desperate. I'm not in college. I need to like find a way to make my mom proud of me again. You know, not that she ever wasn't, but you know what I mean. You have this. You feel this pressure.
The levels
I feel like
are
we
low.
all
we
like do so much in our lives. At least I guess if you're blessed with a wonderful mom like me. You know, all you want to do in life is to make your mom proud of you.
Sure.
And like so much of like the consideration of anything that happens to me, anytime anything good happens to me, it's like, ooh, I'm gonna tell my mom, you know.
Wouldn't mama be proud?
But you know, when it came down to it, I knew that, you know, joining the military to pay for my college wasn't really the path that was going to work out best for me. And that's a great avenue for some young people coming up. You know, they might not have opportunities in front of them, but it just wasn't something that was going to work for me. And you know, and so I'm glad I didn't, you know, make that commitment, you know, for my own personal thing. Although coming from my dad, who's retired Navy,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a SEAL and went to Vietnam 3 times, and
Wow.
all of that. Yeah, he's like a warrior. So
That is amazing.
You know, see, I have an immense amount of respect for the military, and but I just knew it wasn't for me.
Yeah. So what'd you do then?
I started bartending after
Yeah.
that. I went to bartending school.
Really? 1-800-BARTEND.
Which, no. You get
That
the
damn
Red
commercial.
Snapper, Kamikaze,
Uh-huh,
Long Island
yeah.
Iced Tea,
Right.
Black Russian, Fuzzy Navel, the whole shebang.
Yeah.
I learned all those drinks.
How often do people order them now?
Well, you know what? I mean, I've been bartending a really long time,
Mm-hmm.
so, in bartending school, we were learning recipes like the pink squirrel with creme de noix.
I don't even know what that is.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, no one has that.
Yeah, what is that?
Now they do. Now it's back with craft
Really?
cocktail. You go into some fancy bars and they actually do have creme de noix, creme de almond.
Oh,
essentially.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, things like that, like golden Cadillacs and whatnot. And it's so
Wow.
funny because Speed Rack this year on our spec sheet, one of the drinks was a golden Cadillac. So I got a good chuckle.
That's amazing. Yeah. It never
It
leaves
was like
you.
old like cream drinks served up. That's great. But
But did you enjoy bartending school?
you know what? It was very, because like I said, I started bartending when I was 20, so
Yeah.
I didn't have any bar experience at all,
Mhm.
and I never worked in a bar or restaurant. I had, Sonic, but that's
Yeah.
not really the
That's
same.
mixology on a very molecular level.
It actually really,
It really is.
Like, you make the drinks, and you can get like any combination
That's
of
right,
things.
yeah.
And one of the perks about working at Sonic is you get as much free like shakes and slushies and whatever,
Oh,
like
man,
limeades
really?
that you want. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So you
Those
could just
limeades.
so every day I was like, ooh, peanut butter, pineapple,
Whatever. Yeah, that's amazing.
And just making like milkshakes.
See,
and
you were going to be
things like that.
brilliant at
Hey,
cocktailology.
I
from
hadn't
the
really
beginning.
like thought about it,
Yeah.
but yeah, indeed. I guess I
Sonic.
guess it's in my I was made for it. So yeah.
That's amazing.
But so I went to bartending school thinking like, okay, this is legit. Like this is bartending school, right?
Mhm.
It's like a 2-week thing. You go for
Mhm.
like a few hours a day for 2 weeks. So naturally, this is why when you say bartending school, people like roll their eyes. And when young bartenders ask old bartenders, like, should I go to bartending school? They're like, no, just start as a cocktail waitress or
Mhm.
start as a bar back and like yada yada. So I will say that being the age that I was, the level of experience that I did not have, I certainly benefited from going to bartending school, and it was awesome. It was super fun.
Yeah.
The guy who taught it was a great old school bartender, and he'd been, looking back all these drinks that are coming back into fashion. He was
Right.
bartending back when those drinks were initially in fashion, so it's really kind of one of those things. In the kitchen?
Cucina? Yeah.
Yes. So, and so it was great. He would tell us about bartending on cruise ships and things like
That's
that.
so cool. Yeah, I mean, there's something like mysterious about it at that age too. It's like, oh, it's on a cruise ship.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean, and he was just a real cool guy. But let me list some of the valuable things that I learned from bartending school.
Mhm.
Free pouring.
Oh, that's actually quite.
We
helpful.
could talk about free pouring for a long time. I have a very strong opinion on free pouring.
Yeah, for it
Or
or against it.
for the validation of it in
Yeah.
the current bartending climate that we
Gotcha.
work in. Free pouring as a skill, absolutely, 100% learned through bartending school, and it was an extremely valuable skill. Also, that leads to bartending with 2 hands.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the hardest things to train people is how to have both hands moving and to not be idle
Gotcha. Yeah.
at all.
Always
Like
keeping
you're
something
always
moving.
so like when you look at like Tobin Ellis's bar unit that he did with Perlick,
Mhm.
Perlick, I believe it's a Perlick unit. I immediately noticed there's these two little metal things at the bottom. One's blue and one's red, and I
Uh-huh.
messed. Are those hot and cold water foot pedals? It's the most brilliant thing I've ever seen.
So it's
so
like
you literally never have to
band,
stop
right?
having something in your hands.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's what she said. So, so that, the two-handed bartending thing, one of the requirements to get like your certification at bartending school is a timed round. You have to be fast. You have to make like 12 drinks in 7 minutes or something like that.
Wow.
So it's not like
that antiquated.
Yeah. And I mean, they're like Long Island iced teas and things like that. I mean, they're drinks. They're not like rum and Coke or whatnot. So, then they're very specifically ordered in rounds of 4. So you have to remember all the drinks as they're ordered. You get points taken off if you have to ask them to repeat the drink back to you, you know, things like that. And so, I mean, definitely. So it teaches you how to bartend with both hands and to free pour, being, which is definitely like efficient, speed, accuracy, all these amazing things that it teaches you on a certain basic level. Of course, they teach you recipes. Yeah. Some great, some not so great. But I could certainly make a red snapper kamikaze Long Island iced tea after I got out of
that. But that's good. That's
class, and that was what people were ordering then anyway. Yeah. So, I found it to be, and just the concept of like your sweetener, your modifier being, the ratio being, half to the base spirit, right. All that stuff, the formulaic stuff about bartending, and all that stuff, I learned in bartending school, and then just the knowledge and skill grew as I just got my ass kicked behind the bar for the next, however many years. Back then, bars were so busy all the time. It seemed like.
Is that one of those things, going back to when we said that things seem more overwhelming when you haven't experienced it before? Is it maybe that you've been through the ranks for so long and dealt with it so many times that it's not a thing anymore?
No, really. I feel like the drinking culture of like the early aughts, the early 2000s was very much, at least locally, quantity based.
Really?
Yeah.
Toss it down.
Yeah. Martini bars. I mean, now we talk about wash lines, right? You want to have a beautiful wash line on your drink. You don't want it like sloppy and sloshing around.
Right, right.
And so, as a matter of fact, I might have won Speed Rack this year if I hadn't had a sloppy wash line.
Damn it.
So.
No regrets though, right?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, no. I mean, I can't say regrets. Madeline did awesome. She did great.
Yeah.
I did great too, honestly. I have stage fright, like really bad stage fright.
Do you?
People don't know that. A lot of people don't know that about me, but it's like crippling.
But
where I like freeze up and I can't think, I can't remember.
In things. Any context, like in both,
just at
in
all.
Service, just okay.
Even when I first started bartending, obviously, like like when people walk up to your bar,
right?
That they, you want them to be there. The more people that are there, the more money you make. But it would just really terrify me, and in my head, I would be thinking like, crap, I have to go talk to them now. You know? Okay, what am I going to say? Okay, how are you? Of course, you're going to ask them how they're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, what can I get for you? Just like the basic, like,
so do you have a script
interaction.
That you go by? Or is it now a little bit looser?
It would vary. But I did have a script that I would work off of. Wow. Not anything that I put pen to paper or anything, obviously like that. But it was definitely like I had my questions I would ask. Are you local or are you visiting? What brings you in tonight? All those questions. And I still ask those same questions.
The nice pool of canned
But now, as I became comfortable behind the bar and started seeing guests as like not the enemy, because you build relationships with them and you are actually happy to see them and you do, and so, working at a dive bar and you're building your regulars up and, those conversations, eventually become very sincere. And then eventually after that, they became sincere, even if you were a stranger, you know?
That's amazing.
It just happens. But still though, like doing Speed Rack, the first year I did Speed Rack, I was going to free pour because I felt like it was an edge that I had that would put me in like a better, it was a skill that I particularly had. And like, you still look good in a bikini because you're in your 20s, but I can free pour because I'm in my 30s. So it's fair.
I got gray beard now. So in your face.
So that was my edge. So I mentioned that I was going to free pour, and it was like, oh yeah, sure, okay. In the qualifying, of course, yeah, free pour. It's just about speed. And I'm like, no, I mean, like, I'm going to free pour
That's
the competition.
Wow. Yeah.
And they're like, ooh. Well, so I decided at the last minute to jigger pour. I was kind of new in craft too, and I was really like wanting to make a good impression.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want them to think I was like Hack City getting up there like just slanging a bunch of crap into tins with no like rhyme or reason. And I was really intimidated too because I'm this like, I've been bartending a long time.
Mm. What year was this, by the way?
This was in 13.
Okay, a couple years ago.
Yeah. It was the first year I did Speed Rack, so maybe it was 12. I don't remember.
Yeah.
12 or 13. Yeah, 12, I guess.
Yeah. Well, how did it go?
Well, it was terrible. It was terrible.
Using the jigger.
I was being judged by, like, Sasha Petrosky, Julie
geez.
Reiner, Jason Cosmos. I think Chris Bostic was there. Anyway,
Yeah.
Not to get too specific, but my round, like, a Clover Club exploded on me in front of Julie Reiner, the owner of Clover Club. Yeah. It just went horribly.
That is pretty beautiful, though. That's very, very ironic.
She remembers, too.
Does she really?
Yeah, this is funny. I have, like, this whole... I could write a book about, like, all these, like, fantastic Speed Rack experiences of hilarity, failure, and success.
Hilarity, failure, and success. The story of Speed Rack.
But exactly. But, and I think, like, once I, like, learned to not take myself too seriously, it got easier.
Yeah.
But at that age, I mean, I was new to craft, and I really wanted them to see how great of a bartender I was, even if I was only starting to get good at doing craft, you know.
Do you care as much now, you think?
I still want them to see that, but also I know, like, I just can do what I can do, you know, and I don't feel that sort of weight of I'm going to mess everything up.
Yeah.
You know?
Because you're relatively established now, too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I always, like, tell, like, my young, you know, people coming up, Killian Oliver, she calls them her Padawans.
Padawans.
But I always tell them coming up, like, you know, anything that you expect to get out is you have to be able to put that much in.
Yeah.
At least. And so I put in a lot. But, my hands were shaking so bad. I was trying to jigger, and I couldn't get the liquid into the jigger into the cup. I mean, it was just sloshing out both sides. It was going everywhere. And at that point, I realized, like, if I would have free poured, at least it would have been balanced.
Yeah,
even if
the corners were up.
At least I could get that tiny pour spout opening into the jigger rather than, like, my shaking head. I think my round time was over 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was bad, real bad. But it was also, like, I knew I could do better, so I wanted to go again, you know.
Yeah, that's great.
And then I won.
This year, where did not that it
I
matters,
won the year after that. No
so you won in 13? Was that 13
I won
or 14?
in, okay, so it must have been 13. I won in 14.
Oh, cool.
15, Zulko won, and then the one we just had, I almost won. 4 seconds.
Man, 4 seconds?
4 seconds.
God, it gets fierce at that point. That level of competition.
It was so much fun, though, honestly.
Yeah.
I just wanted to play one more time. It's my last year, and I don't want to get too emotional. But
is it a last year because is it an eligibility thing? Is it?
Oh no! I used to joke like I'm gonna do it till I win nationals, you know.
Yeah.
But I like I said, I don't want to get too emotional. It's like it's sad. It's like the way that Speed Rack feels doing it, and it's wonderful. It's like terrifying, like riding a roller coaster, and you're like, you know, climbing that the first like steep rise, you know, and then you go over the edge and you feel like you're gonna die. Like you legit like feel like you're gonna die.
Yeah.
And then like it's all over and you just want to go again, and that's what Speed Rack feels like.
Yeah.
You know, you just want to go again, and so I love Speed Rack. It has propelled me in beautiful directions. The network of people that I've been exposed to and met has been incredible and inspiring and supportive, and really just it just puts you on this platform, you know. And I feel like, and I was really iffy about even signing up this year, applying this year, because for the same reasons, really. But it was in my home city, so I went ahead and did it because, you know.
Yeah.
coming full circle. And I
Absolutely.
wanted to rep my home city, you know.
Home gig.
Yeah,
Gotta do
and
it.
before this year, I feel like I blew it for the whole town because before this year, the last 3 years, it's been a San Antonio girl that's won.
Oh man, really?
I know. I was so close. I blew it, San Antonio. Sorry, guys. But maybe I won wild card. We'll see.
That would be great. Maybe that's the story isn't over.
Maybe I will go until I
See?
win nationals, huh?
I mean, there's many a sports drama that have occurred this way.
I'm gonna get the slow clapper like Rudy. That's all I want. So.
Rudy of speed rack. Now that is a brilliant metaphor. Well, when did you start?
You know, I feel like if I feel like to keep competing is really selfish.
Really?
And it's someone else's turn to ride that roller coaster.
Yeah.
And if they called me and they're like, hey, we're short a person, will you do it? I would do it again. Absolutely. It's incredibly fun and it's amazing. But I feel like if I'm taking a spot away from a young girl whose career can be propelled in that direction and that can experience the inspiration and then the network and tight-knit support, you know, that we all have, you know, gotten from it, it's not right. You know, it's time for me to give my spot up to someone who needs it, you know, who could use it and benefit from it. I've gotten all that I can get out of doing speed rack.
Yeah. Selflessness.
No, I don't think it's selfless. I think it just is sort of, at some point it would become obnoxious and very narcissistic.
Yeah.
It's so much fun to do it, and I never expect to win. I'm always shocked. I'm shocked that I went as far this year. I didn't think I was going to make it out of the quarterfinals. I had to go against Janessa Flowers, who is my lead at Barbaro.
Oh, wow.
And of course, we had to go against each other, right?
Yeah, it's dramatic. It's like
cinematic. I thought for sure she was going to knock me out, for sure. But it went my way. You know, that round went my way, and it's round by round. You know, you make one mistake. That's it, you know, like me, one deduction away from winning. If I would have gotten one less penalty, I would have won. But that's the way that it is, you know, and you know, I guess the fact that it was that close it feels better than if it was like not as close.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and life's down to those just nose to nose moments, you know, where you just miss out on a job or you just miss out on meeting somebody or being at an event, you know, all these things. But it all works out. Oh, it's obviously.
Oh yeah. Well, and I mean, I would still volunteer with them, or if they needed, you know, when I win, if I happen to win wild card and nationals, maybe I could judge. You know? No, I'm kidding. I'd be a bad judge. I'd be like, these are all so delicious.
You guys are great.
It's something for everyone's
We all
taste.
win. Yay.
I think this one's a little tart, but some people like that.
The over diplomacy.
I know. I don't think I would be a very good judge. I think I would be like nice.
Yeah.
Too nice.
When did you get hooked up with this restaurant group? Is that a fair way to put it?
That's actually pertinent because I interviewed with Chad the day before I won Speed Rack.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
That's 14.
Yeah.
So it's been about 2 years I've been with the company.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like exactly like to the.
No kidding.
To the.
See, this is coincidental that we're chatting.
So it was I interviewed with Chad the night before Speed Rack, and that day he called me after I won Speed Rack. Jarrett Pena handed me the phone, and he's like, "It's Chad. He wants to talk to you," and he was just like, "Great job, you know. We'll talk next week." Like yada yada. And I mean, I had the job. I don't think I had the job because I won Speed Rack, but you know,
no, but it doesn't hurt.
But it just was like,
you know. And so how many restaurants total now? You mentioned there's a concept coming up. So right now there's 3. Is that right?
I originally interviewed for Hot Joy, but after seeing my sort of, you know, the importance that I place on hospitality and, you know, kind of really caring about your guests, he felt like I would be a better fit at Barbaro, which was really wonderful because it's this little program. Mm-hmm. It's this little bar, and they didn't really have much of a program going on there. They had a cocktail menu with a couple of drinks and some wines and beers. He's really into like the craft beer, and now they've expanded their wine selection. Have some really cool, funky stuff. But the bar, he basically was like, you know, do what you want to do. Just prove to me you can make money doing it.
That's
and
Had you had that kind of job before, like being in charge like that? I guess.
So I'd been a bar manager for a long
Okay.
time, but I had been passed over for a couple of jobs to like direct my own cocktail program. Over the past couple of years that I'd been working in, maybe over just the past year prior to that, and it was hard. It was hard to think like I'm good enough to be the manager that you trust to make sure everything's clean and make sure the money's right.
Right.
But you don't think of me as being like a creative contributor.
Yeah.
So it was really awesome. And I think the only drink menu that Chad ever tasted was the first one that I put out.
Just to make sure. Mm-hmm. But then it's like, all right, you got it. Go ahead.
And now he doesn't
That's
care,
amazing.
as long as my costs are right and everything, everyone's happy. And
so it's Hot Joy, Barbaro.
So Hot Joy, Barbaro, and we're doing Tekka. I was at the Monty for a little while when they were still open, just kind of helping them out a little, trying to sort of establish something there. But when I took over Hot Joy, Kara went over there, and now we're working on Tekka, and I call it Tekka because it used to be the Tekka Molina spot. It won't be called that. It's a taqueria that we'll be doing on the St. Mary's Strip, and it's gonna be really nice patio.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Cocktails are more single pour, neat stuff.
We'll definitely do cocktails, but I want to focus on not like margaritas.
Yeah.
I kind of don't really want there to be. I mean, it's fine to like have a nice back bar of mezcals and things like that, but I don't want to make like an agave-centric cocktail menu. I kind of want to use a lot of because it's not going to be like it's a Chad Carey taqueria. It's not going to be like like your local taqueria where you get like your favorite carne asada. Like, it's going to be delicious food, of course, but I'm sure they're going to put their spins on it of funkiness and technique. But so I kind of want to steer away from a little bit of the traditional and do some batidas.
Okay.
With cachaça.
Oh,
and kind of get rummy. Cachaça and some.
And Havana Club will be available soon, so.
Yeah, maybe some piscos.
Yeah.
Pisco drinks.
When are you guys aiming to open?
You know how that goes.
I know.
Like the Money Pit, 2 weeks.
Got it.
2 weeks. No, it'll be a few months, I believe. They're doing construction now.
But you'll still be.
I haven't gotten in behind the bar yet at all.
Oh, gotcha.
To look at the space.
But you're overseeing that one as well.
But I haven't gotten it's not built up enough to where I can get in and start,
being functional.
Yeah, getting the layout and equipment and all that.
Yeah.
So
you're celebrating 2 years.
Yeah.
You were second place in potential wild card for Speed Rack. We'll see. We're gonna rally. Maybe I can help
the
rally
voting's
that.
closed, but there's a judges
closed.
component. So
okay.
So I ended the voting. The voting ended. I was 13 points behind Elise Bleckman out of Houston, and she's great and she's super popular. But also she works at Captain Foxheart's.
Oh yeah.
They have the chalkboard back bar,
Uh-huh.
And so she was lobbying for the votes from her job, which is great.
Yeah.
And good for her that she was able to do that. I was not able to do that during the week of SACC. But so just like
she pulled ahead.
She did. She pulled ahead at the end, and good for her. There's a judges component. Mm-hmm. So the judges will pick whoever they think deserves the wild card.
Yeah. And
then that person will get half again their votes. So
amazing.
I finished with, I think, 304 votes, something like that.
Yeah.
So if I just so happen to get the judge's choice, and I mean, there's no way to, know who they're going to pick, really, then I'll get, another 152 votes.
There we go.
That'll put me in the lead. But it was a good race. Elise and I were neck and neck. I mean, like, she would be like 2 votes ahead, and then I would be 3 votes ahead, and then she would be like 7 votes ahead, and then I would be like a vote ahead of that, and then it went back and forth the whole time. We were neck and neck between first and second place the whole time. So it was a good race either way.
I'm sure it'll
work
race,
out. And I'm really blessed that so many people voted for me. Like what an honor. The first year I lost Speed Rack, I won the wild card that year.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. Then it was all just votes. And so I just lobbied for tons of votes with my Facebook friends and obnoxiously sent out group text and Facebook messages. And
it seems like everybody's rallying for you. You
Wow,
are,
that's sweet.
because you're is it are you president of the USBG?
No, I am not. I actually I joined USBG when we didn't have a San Antonio chapter.
Yeah.
I wanted to like get involved, and so I went to. It was actually at Speed Rack where Jessica Sanders was like, "Hey, like if you like to compete, you should really get involved in USBG.
Mm-hmm.
We have this competition come up. As long as you enter by this date, you can, apply for it." And it was the Bombay Sapphire Most Imaginative.
Right.
And I got chosen as a finalist that year. But I literally joined USBG so that I could have access to the seminars and the competitions and stuff. And so I would just go up to Austin whenever I could to the things. And I don't even know if there were any other San Antonio members of USBG at that time or not. But they were not active in the Central Texas chapter, which was really the Austin chapter. And so we, I always was like, why doesn't San Antonio have its own chapter? And, we can't really, it's hard for us to take a whole day off work to come and do this. And then, you're drinking, you got to drive back. I'm like, maybe trying to think, like, are there brands we can set up, like, a bus that takes us up there, for some of these events, that, brands that have a little more money or whatnot. And so I was kind of always like at the beginning of talking about getting the USBG chapter in San Antonio, or at least the events like more accessible. Like, okay, if we're sharing a Central Texas chapter, can we have some of the events in San Antonio at least?
Right.
Things like that. And, eventually like with the sponsorship actually of Houston, and I think Austin helped us as well. Like Houston paid for half of the memberships in the membership drive.
That's
like
great.
Yeah, it's been a very supportive community now that we've gotten our own chapter, but I've been so busy since I haven't been able, so it's like I was the one that was like, we need our own chapter. And then I like haven't been to like any events.
She didn't even care.
I know, they're like, what a jerk, she's too cool now for USBG. I know. So I'm hoping to get more active, but honestly, I don't have time to be like an office holder at this point.
Yeah.
Once, I'm behind the bar pretty much still full time on top of like being full-time admin. So it's like I said, 60 to 80 hours a week is a normal week for me. And so when once the purview of my job doesn't involve so much time behind the bar, which is like a sad kind of a thing for me. It's a little bit bittersweet.
Yeah.
Then, I'll probably have more time to do things like that.
I imagine. Well, it seems like
Which
you're doing a lot of stuff that you're working behind these 3 spots, the new taqueria that's opening up.
It's fun.
So been a good run.
It's great. I feel like I get to make people happy for a living. That's the best job in the world.
It's not bad.
Being behind the bar, and that's why I think it's so bittersweet to like consider not bartending full time anymore.
Yeah.
That's what you love, The hard part is when you like, have to tell someone they can't get the day off because you don't have coverage and they start crying, or like, when that's the hard part, when you have someone come to you and telling you they're not making enough money, that's the hard part.
Yeah.
That's what you really carry. And so I think, as easier as my job will get hours, I think it'll probably just get harder when it comes to like, because, I don't know, being overwhelmingly busy doesn't like wrench your guts out, like having someone that you have to worry about. Hopefully, like, I always just try to like let people on my team, know that I appreciate them.
Yeah.
Because I really do. I'm shocked at how many employees I've gone through. And it makes me feel almost sometimes a failure a little bit, because it's like, if I can't make them be a good employee, then maybe I'm a bad boss.
Yeah, but that it just
you don't
have that much control over it.
It just is what it is.
Especially in this industry, there's so much turnover.
Yeah, for sure. And not everybody has the same vision you do or whatever.
Right.
But
the same maturity. Right.
You invest, energy and money into people's potential. And so I just always try to let people, know that when they're doing a good job, and, that I appreciate them.
Yeah.
And hopefully those grueling hours of prep, it carries them through.
It will. It absolutely will. And so thank you so much for meeting me in San Antonio.
Of course.
Letting us sit here and kind of chat in hot joy before the frenzy hits here at 3 o'clock, and sharing the Raicilla Raicilla with me. It's a beautiful spirit. I'm so glad we were able to have this chat
Yes,
finally.
thank you.
And,
I know.
I'll be back to San Antonio. We'll certainly have to go grab a drink.
Yeah,
so.
definitely.
Thanks so much, Elizabeth.
Yeah, thank you.
So what do you guys think? Elisabeth has lived an interesting life, I would say. She's been touched by the industry, whether it is at Barbaro, Monterey, or through Speed Rack. She's had a really decorated career, and I have a feeling it's really just in one of the earlier chapters. There's so many more things to conquer, so many more things to explore. And as San Antonio keeps expanding and the culinary/cocktail scene keeps expanding and growing and exploding, I know that Elisabeth will be at the forefront of taste, the forefront of creativity, and always serving a great drink. So thanks everybody for listening to Show to V with Mike G. No matter which mosquito keeps flying around your microphone that you would like to smash to bits, no matter how much you're enjoying that Oroqueño by Del Maguey, please keep dancing.